What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another brand new Major Ben video. I'm going to take my glasses off. I forget every time, and you guys just get to see a reflection. So welcome back to the Major Ben Gaming channel. Today we've got actually some really huge news that I'm very, very excited about on the Xbox platform, because obviously this year has not been great for Xbox exclusives, or just, yeah, any first-party Microsoft titles coming to the platform. There's just not been very many. It's been a bit of a disappointing year. You can kind of understand it with everything that's gone on with the amount of delays we've had, but next year is the kind of start of Xbox doing some really, really good things. Obviously, we've got things like Redfall and Starfield, and just those two alone is just absolutely fantastic. Like, that is going to be extremely exciting to have those huge IPs coming exclusively to Xbox and PC. So that's fantastic news, and I can imagine that's going to drive a lot of sales. But what we've actually heard today is that Zenimax Online Studios has a new IP that's actually been in development for the last 4.5 years. And obviously this is going to be exclusive to the Xbox platform with PC, but exclusive to Xbox. So we'll read through this article and a little discussion about what we think, well, not what the game's going to be, because we don't know. It's a brand new IP, but just talk about the fact that this is something that is extremely exciting, especially judging by how many developers working on this game, which shows that it's really a very, very huge game. So Zenimax Online Studios is continuing to chug away at its new IP, and it's clear that this game is getting a lot of internal resources, even as little is publicly known about just what the game will actually be. Speaking on the Product Builders podcast, creative director Ben Jones talked about some of the work that's going into this new IP, including how he's been working on it for the past 4.5 years. Jones shared that the design team he leads consists of about 50 people, while the greater development team working on the game consists of almost 200 developers. That is insane. That is a very large amount of people to be working on a video game, which shows this could be an extremely large game. Jones also notes that his team is spread all over the globe, and that the game is a considerable investment and a very large scope project, which lines up with prior details on the game. Sorry, I can't speak today. I don't know what's going on. Of the 200 developers, Jones says that around half are working remotely. The director also adds that the story has changed multiple times over the game's development, saying that you could create great art, but if there isn't a good story to connect with the art, it's going to fall short, and vice versa. And that's something that's a very good statement to make there. The story is what so many people criticize Xbox for. If you look at all of PlayStation's IPs, the story has always been something that's done extremely well and been the main driving force as to why people love that PlayStation IP so much. If you take something like God of War, that was the 2018 one, was absolutely fantastic. Ragnarok, in my opinion, isn't as good. I just think it's better in terms of graphics, but in every other way, I just don't think the story is gripping me as much as the 2018 one, but the 2018 one's very, very good. Last of Us Part 1, fantastic story. Spider-Man, fantastic story. And you can see where Last of Us Part 2 went, although it went very well and it sold amazingly, the story just wasn't as good, and that's why it got a lot of criticism about that game. And that's something that Xbox doesn't have. The stories are good in games like Gears 5 and stuff like that, but it's just not on the same scale as the PlayStation IPs. And that's good that this guy's saying that, because it is something that's so important and needs to be worked on Xbox's side. So it says Zenimax Online Studios has expanded over the last couple of years, transitioning to allow remote work and opening new satellite teams like in San Diego in order to support the main studio that is located in Maryland, US. This new game has been described as a AAA game with a new engine, but otherwise little is currently known. As Bethesda Softworks is part of the Xbox first-party organization, this new IP will naturally launch across Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and Windows PC, but we'll have to wait to find out more. Outside of this new IP, Zenimax Online Studios is continuing to support the Elder Scrolls Online, with the recent Firesong DLC closing out the legacy of the Breton storyline, which was centered around the High Isle expansion. So that's just talking about existing games. But this new Zenimax IP, you can see from my thumbnail, it's a little clip of what we can kind of expect to almost see. This thing should be absolutely fantastic. This is a brand new IP for Xbox. I've not seen many people actually talk about this because, I mean, this is great news. This is what we've been wanting. Obviously, it's great that we've got like the next Elder Scrolls games confirmed. That's fantastic news. And obviously, Starfield is definitely something new, obviously. But other than that, Microsoft's always repeated the success. We're up to Gears 5 now. You know, yeah, we'll probably get Gears 6. Yes, we'll get another Halo game. Yes, we'll get Forza Motorsport next year probably, and there'll be another Horizon probably a few years down the line. But what's great about this is we're getting some new IPs, which means if these IPs do well, like hopefully whatever this game that ZeniMax is working on does extremely well, then we know that there's going to be a sequel, something we can be excited about in the future. You know, Spider-Man, for example, is just getting its second game. That's going to be huge, or third if you want to include Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales, but it wasn't a full game. It's very short. It was more like DLC, but we're obviously going to get a Spider-Man 2 with a new story and stuff, and we're getting that the Wolverine is a new IP. That's going to be great. You know, PlayStation always has these new things like Returnal as well that it got this year, and if those things do well, which I think Returnal did, I don't know. That's something that we're going to get a secondary version of. But it is still important to have new IP. And both companies do this. Both companies get very stuck in their ways and they don't necessarily always like to do something new. And this is important that Xbox is pushing this, or ZeniMax obviously been acquired. So that's something I'm very, very excited about. But let me know. Can you guys let me know what you guys think about this down below? I'm extremely excited to see what this has to offer, what type of game we're going to get. It needs to not be too similar to obviously the IPs that they've just acquired, and you know, you don't want too many games the same. Obviously, Elder Scrolls we know is being worked on. There's probably going to be another Fallout. It needs to not be too similar to those, but imagine the fact that it's been in the works for 4.5 years is something that's going to be, you know, it's going to be a decent sized game. With 200 people working on the game and obviously 50 lead designers, that's something that's huge in scope. But at the same time, we don't want too many like RPG games. We've obviously got Starfield coming out, which is going to be a huge RPG. I kind of hope it's not an RPG. What would be really good is to have something like an Uncharted style, you know, story type game with some action sequences, obviously, well, many action sequences and gameplay, something with a really, really narrative driven story. Like, I'm excited for Starfield, don't get me wrong, this game is going to be awesome, but it is still an RPG, and it would be nice to have something that's like what Sony has on the Xbox side, because that realistically is what people complain about. Obviously, we've got I can't think of the Hellblade. That's going to be a very story-driven game, but personally, even from the first game, I never fell in love with the characters like I did with games like Uncharted or The Last of Us. So I want Microsoft to come out with something along those lines. That's what we need. We need a good story-driven game with some great writing, great voice acting, great animations, really importantly, and a fantastic storyline. And I hope that's what we're going to get here. That's it for this video. Please let me know if you've enjoyed this one. Please do consider subscribing for more videos. I'm trying to post as often as I can. Thank you so much for watching. See you in future videos. Bye-bye for now.